Hello, CPMG. We are here with our fourth hot seat featuring the famous CPMG FC member, Dr. Amy Bromley. Amy, thank you for joining us. Word is you just got your kids to
Thank you very
bed
much.
at 7 o'clock. Please tell us how you did so with such seamless energy. Oh.
I hired a sleep trainer about a year and a half ago, and she taught us all the things we were doing wrong. It was way cheaper than a divorce lawyer.
Perfect, perfect. And so what are your plans for the rest of the evening after this call, given that it's only 7:30 in Calgary?
So I actually go to bed remarkably early. I go to bed at 9 o'clock, but once we get off this call, I'm actually going to go out and plant some of my flowers because it turned out to be a beautiful afternoon and evening here. So yeah.
Amazing. And
Mhm.
are you a TV watcher? Are you Game of Thrones?
No, I'm a hockey watcher.
Right.
So I've been watching the Stanley Cup playoffs, although after Calgary got eliminated, I was a little less enthusiastic. And then when the refs started screwing things up, it was a bit hard to handle. But now I'm gonna go for the Blues, and hopefully they will bring one back to St. Louis.
For sure. Love that. And I'm very sorry to hear about your Flames. They were definitely my team choice to win the Stanley Cup.
It was actually much better for my health from a sleep perspective because the games were all really late, and we
Mm.
would go to the games and they didn't get finished until 11:30, 12 o'clock, and then I'd come home and I'd be all amped up. So yeah, it was horrible for my sleep wellness routine.
Right. Right. And God forbid you miss a workout.
Exactly.
So tell us about your journey and start with your aha moment in November of 2017.
Well, so like I said in my little profile, like I've kind of been one of those people my entire life who's been up and down on the scale. I've always been really active, played lots of sports, always been into healthy eating, but I've just never really found anything that sort of clicked for me. I did basically every diet that you can imagine, and we never really had a lot of success with any of them, any long-term success. So in about April of 2017, about 2.5 years after we moved into our issues with water damage, and we started on an 8-month, $300,000 repair to a 2-year-old house, which was not ideal. And we had 2 small children at the time, so a 6-month-old and a 2-year-old, and life sucked hard. And so in about November, I had had enough. We were eating pizza 3 times a week, and nobody was going to the gym. We were fighting all the time. I was drinking at least 3 beers a day, if not more. And I, was kind of like at the point where if I walked up the stairs, I was out of breath. So, and there were a lot of stairs in our house. So, yeah, so I was actually going to Ottawa for the weekend for a conference at the Royal College. And so I kind of said to my husband, look, like I got to do something. Something has to change here. So before I left, I cleaned out the pantry and threw away all the processed food. And I had kind of dabbled in sort of the low carb, high fat style of eating before, but it wasn't really what worked for me. So then I just kind of said, like I'm just going to go back to eating like our ancestors did, which is what I did. So it's kind of like a paleo-ish kind of thing. I always sort of joke that my metabolism is so slow, I would make the best caveman wife because I can literally go days without eating, and it takes very little to sustain me. And I'm also really good at killing things, so that works out well. But yeah, so that's kind of what I did. So I do like a low carb, whole foods, like no processed food kind of diet, which is kind of nice because I can still have lots of fun and exciting treats. So I'm not really deprived. So that was kind of the aha moment. So I started that. It was the November 11th weekend of 2017. And then I had kind of gotten out of the habit of exercising. I always walked to work, but it was more of a stroll, and it was more for mental health than physical health. And so when Suzanne posted in CPMG, I'm a pretty prolific CPMGer in general.
Okay.
I really appreciate that community. Most of my really good friends are scattered throughout the country. And so a lot of my like friend communication is online anyways, and CPMG just really like fit for me. So when Suzanne posted about the fitness challenge, I was like, challenge? Like, yeah, for sure, I am in. So I couldn't send you my money fast enough because I was like, I have to get into this before it stops. Yeah, and then the rest is history.
Yeah, if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
I think you might have been the first person that paid, actually.
I probably was, because I was like, if I don't put the money where my mouth is, nothing will happen. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. And I got another question for you. Have you ever had one of your CPMG friends come and work out at your awesome home gym?
No, you are my only friend that has come and worked out at my gym.
Awesome.
So,
I feel
yeah. No,
very
but you know what? A 5:45 workout is not super attractive to get people to come over and hang out with you.
especially when you're on
I
vacation.
made you do it at 6, so.
Yeah, I did get
And you were on vacation, yeah.
yes, yeah. But you know what? It was
Yeah.
so awesome. I enjoyed every second of it. And your two daughters are absolutely adorable. I wish that they could have made an appearance tonight. But tell us a little bit more about them and their relationship.
They are essentially chalk and cheese. So my 4-year-old is 4 going on 14, very independent, very conversational and talkative. My 3-year-old wants to stay a baby. She doesn't like really doing anything on her own. She loves to cuddle and play babies and things like that. So yeah, they are totally opposite personalities. My mom, who is a nurse, kind of jokes that when she sees Linnea, my older one, playing, that it reminds her of me. And then, so she says that Linnea will be the doctor and that Emmy will be the nurse because she's actually more caring and kind. So I'm not sure. I don't think that's a compliment, but
Yeah. Yeah. And have you had any challenges balancing sort of taking time and making the time, taking care of yourself with putting them first, obviously?
Yeah, so I suck at self-care. I'm definitely a fill everyone else's cup first kind of person. And it's only in the last little while that I've actually really started to take seriously putting stuff in my cup. And that's really because my husband is really big into that. But yeah, so it's tremendously difficult, and that's why I work out first thing in the morning. So they get up at 6:30, or I mean, sometimes they'll wake up earlier than that, but they're not supposed to come out of their rooms until 6:30.
Okay.
So I work out from 5:45 to 6:30, and that's kind of how I balance it. Now, you probably don't want to hear this, but there are mornings that I just go to the gym and lie on the floor and drink my coffee in peace because they're not supposed to come down and bother me. I don't check in those mornings. Sometimes there's like a little bit of mobility in there, but yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I don't actually believe there's a balance. I think that you never can kind of sit there and be like, oh, look, everything is perfectly balanced. Like, it's just, it's constant, and I'm still trying to kind of learn to roll with the punches. So yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah. And so you've lost a really impressive amount of weight. One sort of feat or the type of feat that, you know, when I'm working with clients and they come to me and they say, I want to lose 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds. I say to them, I've worked with several people, and this is not to discourage you, but if you want to get to that point, it's a point that not many people reach because it takes a lot of willpower. It takes a lot of consistency. So along your road and working to get there, tell us sort of the path is never linear. That's one of the first things I say to them. You're going to go through ups and downs and big bumps and hurdles, and you're going to have times where you really don't want to do it. Myself, being a trainer and being a big workout enthusiast, I know where there's times where I can barely get one workout a weekend just because I'm unmotivated. And then for whatever reason, something happens, summer comes, whatever it might be, I pick back up and I'm right back into it, super pumped. But the thing with weight loss, and one of the most challenging parts, is you can be putting in that effort and you can be doing all the right things, and you might not exactly see the things that you want to see. So tell us, how that journey has gone for you.
Yeah, so it's definitely not linear. I like to refer to my Fitness Pal graph as my mountain range. So there's lots of there's lots of peaks and there's lots of valleys, but the trend line goes down. So I've actually picked up a few tips from here. The happy scale is one of the things that I use on a regular basis to sort of just give me an idea of where that trend line is going and how fast it's going down. My weight loss goal was, I actually met my weight loss goal last April or May, I think. It's been just over a year. So my weight loss goal was to get down to my pre-pregnancy weight, which I was very happy at. So it's about 10 pounds heavier than I am right now. But I was pretty happy to be there. And then I kind of got it just, now I'm kind of just doing a science experiment with myself, and that's kind of how I keep motivated. So I listen to the podcast by Katrina Ubel, which we've talked about lots on CPMG FC, and just sort of having a better relationship with food and not using food as a buffer for emotions and things like that. I love food. I love to eat. I love sharing food with family and having friends over and things like that. So I always thought that when that happened, you had to eat a lot and you had to eat unhealthy food. That was the only way that would work. And it's been a really interesting science experiment for the last year of having people over and not having dessert, or having berries for dessert instead of making, a 3-tier chocolate cake or something like that. So yeah, that's been really interesting. Other things that kind of keep me motivated. So I don't know if you remember this, but when we talked about our goals for the first fitness challenge, I took a picture of my closet, which was filled with clothes that I couldn't fit in. And so my goal didn't actually have a number associated with it. It just had my closet. I wanted to get back into my beautiful clothes because I love clothes, probably more than my husband wants me to. But yeah, I love clothes, and I had a beautiful wardrobe. So it was really nice to get back into those things. And then I actually missed the window for some of those. So there were pieces of clothing that I had saved for 5 years that I couldn't fit in. And then I went to put it on and it would just, it was just like a paper bag, and it was so disappointing. I mean, it was like happy disappointment, if that's a thing. So I actually have a friend who's not a physician, but she's a veterinarian who is going through her own weight loss journey. And so now I package up all of my stuff and I give it to her, so that she's a couple sizes ahead or above me now, but like going progressively down. So it's kind of fun. The other thing that I found that really helped me and kept me motivated, and this sort of goes into the self-care, was just the control I had over meal prep and meal planning. So again, you guys all know I love a good meal prep. Like Sunday meal prep is my favorite time of the week. It just allows me to set my week up so well. And every day I know that I'm having a protein-rich, healthy lunch that's going to make me easily get through my day without, caving and getting a confetti square from the disgusting hospital cafeteria, right? So yeah, so that's the other sort of thing that I do. And I've been trying out different recipes and stuff like that. And so yeah, it actually hasn't been too terrible.
Yeah. Amazing. One of the things that I love that you said, and one of the things that I've done since I started the CPM GFC, is now any client that comes to work with me in person, because I've realized with this challenge, so much of it is about diet and finding that flexible, sustainable way to keep you on track and keep your, not your linear weight loss happening if weight loss is your goal, but getting there. One of the things that I loved that you said is that having a goal that's not numbers related is amazing. And one of the things that I've added to my initial consultation with clients is we sit down for an hour, regardless. Your first session is an assessment. Your second one, we talk about nutrition for an hour. And I always go through the different types of measurements, but the one that I do not let them get away with is having that goal outfit and that goal piece of clothing, because there is no number on the scale that someone can get to that makes them feel as good as when they get to that goal outfit and they put that on. And another thing that I wanted to congratulate you on, which I don't think I gave you enough praise for, and you've said oftentimes that you had wished that you had taken before and after pictures, and you didn't, but you have before and after headshots. And the thing with your before and after headshots is that you can see in your headshots, for sure there's weight loss, but there's something else that's come with that for Amy. And, along with fitting into those goal outfits, I'm sure you've had so many other sort of feelings along the way that, your achievements have helped you to attain. And so just describe the difference between, let's say, October 2017 and what it's like waking up today being in Amy's skin.
Yeah, so I think I'm probably going to disappoint you. I love my body all the time. So, I don't know not many people say that, but my body is amazing, and I love the way it looked, 50 pounds ago, and it had 2 babies that it created and grew and did all kinds of amazing stuff to get them out of there that I don't really want to think about that much. And I mean, I've always been a really strong person, like physically strong person. So I've never really had that sort of, some people talk about like they feel like they're disgusting in their skin and things like that. Like I've never really been there. I mean, sure, yeah, do I wish that my pants did up better? Absolutely. But I actually love the way I looked at every point. I think the biggest thing for me when I wake up in the skin that I'm in right now is my energy level is way better. I have a lot less aches and pains. Like I'm not that old, but there were mornings in October of 2017 that I would wake up and just feel like absolute shit. I'm probably not allowed to say that on that.
No, you can say whatever you want.
We can bleep that out. But yeah, and so I mean, don't get me wrong. There's still mornings that I wake up and I wish that I could call in sick and stay in bed and watch movies all day. But for the most part, that's not my MO. Like most of the time, my alarm goes off at 5:40 and I'm already by that point awake for a little while, and I can't wait to get out of bed and tackle the day. I think that's probably the biggest difference.
Yeah, you know what? And that's an amazing point. And I wonder too, because I have a client of mine who she's been into fitness for so long, and we've worked together for years. And recently she's had some really good success. And part of that has come with, as much as she's tracked and she stepped on the scale and she does so several times a week, even if the number didn't go the way she wanted it to, she still looked at her mirror and said, you know what, I'm Marie Ferry and I'm a rock star, right? And you bring up a good point. Regardless of what you weighed, you always loved your body. And there's no doubt everyone in this group knows the body is the most amazing thing that's been put on this earth other than earth itself. But just not having that pressure. And that's a really cool sort of aha moment for me from this conversation is if I can get my clients to really work on understanding that, the number, and I do try and do this as best as I can, but sometimes it's really hard to get people to not focus on that number so much. So really cool. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for the honesty.
Yeah, the other thing about the number 2, and this is taken directly from Katrina Ubell, so I can't claim any credit, is she has this whole thing where you step on the scale, you look at the number, and that is your gravitational pull on the earth. It means absolutely nothing else. It is a completely neutral fact. It is what it is. There is nothing good, bad, indifferent about it. It is simply your gravitational pull on the earth, or something like that. I may have screwed up the physics of that, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
So yeah, and so I started doing that, and I wish I had done that a lot earlier, but yeah, like, it's just a number, and yeah, it's nice when it goes down when you're working really hard, but if it doesn't, that's okay. Like, and I think that's why it's really important too to take those before and after pictures and do other measurements and things like that. One of the measurements that I find the most useful, and again, I don't know if other people have this, but I always had a really fat neck. And so one of the things I hated was that, while I love the fact that my body is strong and it can create babies and all that kind of stuff, and it houses my amazing mind and those kinds of things, I kind of didn't like the fact that I had a big double chin. But I don't know if you can see, but I got some pretty stellar muscles in my neck right now. So I've actually lost 1 3/4 inches off of my neck.
Wow.
Which is, yeah. So, and that's not even from the first set of measurements, because I didn't do the first set of measurements because I'm an idiot. so do your measurements. Go take your pictures. Do your measurement.
Absolutely. Listen to Jake, right? Listen to Jake.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
he awesome. Actually does know what he's talking about.
Somewhat. And I love too the other thing that you said, that you treat your body as a bit of an experiment, and that's always something I've tried to preach as well, is that everything that we do in terms of exercise and nutrition, as much as we know, as much as evidence has taught us, it's not the same for everyone, right? And I think it's very important to learn what works for you. And also too, I had a conversation with one of our members tonight talking about doing things that you enjoy, right? And that's also a super big part of the equation. So going along with that theme and things that you enjoy the most, the workout that I wanted to ask you the most about in everything that you've talked about in the CPMG FC is not actually one of my workouts. It's of your backcountry hiking. Tell us more.
Oh, yeah. So I am a prolific backcountry hiker. I got into it when we moved to Calgary in 2007. And I don't know how many people know this, but when I moved here in 2007, I was actually married to somebody else, and then we split up the first year that we were here. So I had about 1.5 years of being single in Calgary, and I spent most of that time hiking in the mountains by myself. So I'm actually a fairly accomplished like solo backcountry minimalist camper. So I can go for 4 days by myself and have like a small backpack and just sleep under the stars and hope that I don't get eaten by a bear and things like that. But yeah, and then when I met Chris, it was really convenient that he was also very into backcountry camping. So we met in the winter, but it was a very interesting summer because I was like, can he really keep up with me when we're in the backcountry? Does he really know what he's talking about? So yeah, once we started camping together and getting along as well as you get along when you're going camping, because it's a bit stressful. Then I was like, yeah, okay, this is good. But yeah, we hike a lot. We camp. Now we only camp in the summer, but when we didn't have children, we would camp all year round. So I also winter camp and do like winter snow shelter camping and things, which is a little bit nuts, but it's amazing. There's just something amazing about being in the wilderness. And a lot of times we really, now more so than ever, we really push our bodies to the brink. So it's a lot about, hikes that we would normally do in 3 days because we're sort of strapped for time. Now we try to do them in 1. So yeah, so we've got a couple of those kinds of excursions coming up in the summer to see how that'll go. So yeah, and I mean, I hiked when I was pregnant with Linnea the week before the week before I delivered her, I did a 16-kilometer backcountry hike with 800-meter elevation gain, and thankfully didn't deliver her in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
That is wild. So, have you ever had, or what is maybe your scariest moment on one of those hikes?
I fell off a cliff once, which was not a stellar moment. So there's a trail that has some chains that go around a rock. And this was when I was doing a solo trip. So I went up, I hiked in the morning, dropped my stuff at the campsite, and then went on to do this bigger hike. So it was about 36 kilometers of hiking that day. And on the way back, as I was going around the chains on the rock, I was a little bit tired. It was a little bit dark, and I just kind of lost my footing. So I fell not far, probably about 100 feet or so down the cliff face. Managed to catch myself and get myself up and get back to the campsite. So that was a little bit scary. Not so much because I was hurt or anything, but just because it could have gone much worse. And then I was like, oh, I should probably be a little bit more careful. But one of the things that I do when I'm hiking is I always carry my driver's license with me. And that's because working in pathology, oftentimes people come in and they're unidentified, and once they're dead, you can't ask them what their name is.
Oh,
And it's really annoying to try to figure out who they are. So if you want a tip from your friendly pathologist, always carry your driver's license with your updated information so people can identify you if you die. There's your pleasant thought for this evening.
yeah, good to know. Good to know. Okay, I have one more question for you, and that is, you've been so good at contributing to the CPMG FC, and one of the things, or one of your contributions that I've enjoyed the most are your hacks. So if you had 1, 2, or 3 hacks for maybe new incoming members in the future, or even current members now, what do you think the 1, 2, or 3 things that you found have been the most helpful for you along the past 16 months or so?
So my number one hack is work out for half an hour, because anything more than a half an hour is just, it's too much of a time sink. If you have more and you want to do more, that's great. But going in and saying, okay, I know for sure I'm going to spend more than 30 minutes on Facebook today. If I can contribute that 30 minutes to working out, then that's great. So, I mean, I think for me, that's one of the biggest things. You know, I actually have a timer on my phone about how much time I spend on Facebook. So I get a little reminder that pops up that says, you've been on Facebook for more than half an hour. And so then I'm like, okay, well, I can't say that I don't have time to work out, because I can do these exercises in half an hour. And it's amazing, I find, because what happens is you make the workout go into half an hour. If you go down, or for me it's downstairs, but if you go to the gym with the idea that, oh, like I'll just go and do everything, and you kind of like lollygag around, it's going to take forever. The time will fill, it will fill whatever time you give it. So get it done in half an hour. That's my number one sort of tip slash hack. Something else that you and I have talked about, although we haven't really shared it with the group, is that sometimes the workouts are kind of complicated, and I am a very simple person. So I actually have a set of default workouts that I have written on the mirror in my gym. So especially if I've had a rough night or I'm in a bad mood and it's a new week and I haven't had a chance to preview the workouts, but I just want to go and get my workout done, I have basically selected my favorite components of each of the 4 major workouts and created an EMOM that I love and written those on the board. So, you know, if I'm just being lazy but I still want to work out, I just do that.
But not drink coffee on the floor, right?
What's that?
Not drink coffee on the floor. That's not one of the.
But not lie on the floor and drink coffee. Yeah, no, exactly. I always do drink coffee during my workout, though. And I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. I think, you know, at the end of the day, you have to do whatever you have to do to get things done. And everyone's busy, and life is busy, and time. You know, you have a finite amount of time. That's the That's all you can do. So, I just try to live by the philosophy that if I can do a little bit, that's better than nothing. And that's kind of my philosophy in a lot of things. So if I can work out for, 4 30-minute workouts a week, that's 4 30-minute workouts that more than I would do if I didn't do any. So it's all helping.
Amazing. And I actually stole your first hack of, put the timer on your workouts. And I've always been an all or nothing person, because as a trainer, I always thought, I have to do this perfectly programmed, amazing workout that's going to hit all of the components that I want to hit in that workout. And as I've gotten busier and busier with my schedule filling up and things like the CPM GFC getting bigger, that time has gone and it's been lost. And for so long, I was that all or nothing person. But my dad is, since coming back from Florida, my workout partner, and he's worked out with me for years. And he comes Tuesday, Thursdays at 2:00. We work out together. And I said, Dad, we have new rules in the gym. And that is, first and foremost, the workouts are timed at 45 minutes. And secondly, there is no phones. So put your phone away. And he's really bad for the phone part. But you know what? It's made the workouts that much more enjoyable, because like you said, instead of doing what I would do in an hour and 15 minutes, I now do it in 45, because I know that's the time constraint that I have. And then over and above that, being with my dad, obviously, our time is so valuable together, and it's that 45 minutes of face-to-face interaction, even though the majority of it is spent huffing and puffing or telling each other what to do, but it's awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Do you have any questions for me before we end this one off?
I do, actually. I have a very important question that I feel like all of the viewers are wondering. Will there be CPMG FC 6 and 7 and into perpetuity?
Absolutely. There will be CPMG so long as there's an Amy Bromley and a Suzanne Martin and whoever else wants to join us, there will be a CPMG FC. It's been a dream come true for me to be able to work with so many amazing women online and be able to span my sort of reach and everything that I've worked so hard on to get better at for the past 10 years, and be able to deliver out there and see people such as yourself and so many others who have been a part of the journey achieve amazing results. And the best part being the community that we've created. Even though some days I'm super tired to get on my laptop, at the end of the day, I always love reading the posts. So yes, absolutely.
Good. And Jake, I just want to take this opportunity too to say thank you to you and Suzanne, because this very easily could have been a conversation that happened between the two of you and stayed in your gym. And I'm not sure if you guys really understand or realize how important this is for our entire group. There have been so many people who have been so positively impacted by this over the past almost 18 months and in perpetuity. So yeah, it's been really amazing. And if you had told me 18 months ago when I started this that this would turn into something, sort of ongoing, that I would be constantly engaged in, and with a group of women who are super super collegial and people who you can learn from and people who are open for discussion and things like that, I never would have believed that it would have come into something like this. So I know that it's a tremendous amount of work on your part, and I feel a bit bad that you are exposed to as much screen time as you are on our behalf. But I really do appreciate it. I know that there's a lot of us in the group who really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I thank you to everyone who's watched and been a part of the CPMG FC. Amy, you enjoy the rest of your night. Good luck with your gardening. And hopefully you continue to get some good weather in Calgary.